What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. Oh, I'm on my way to Davenport, Iowa, and a lot's happened. And, I know I haven't made a video in quite some time. I actually made a video a couple of times and didn't end up uploading it because I was frustrated about some stuff. And it ended up being like a bitching and complaining video. And there's going to be some of that here. But I wanted to just make an update. Talk to you guys about where everything's at. So I went back in on April 6th, whatever it was. The van went in the shop. It is still in the shop. I told them to take their time, make sure everything, I made them a list, make sure they get everything right this time. So they've still got the van. I'm not sure if they've had a chance to look at it or not, because I did tell them to take their time. So the DC to DC charger failed already. And guys, it really pissed me off. And, just as much as being pissed off at Renogy, I'm pissed off at myself, all right? Because I knew better than to buy Renogy products. Trying to save a little bit of money. They were having big sales on that stuff when I bought, and I stupidly ignored my own advice. That DC to DC charger, guys, it was the only 60 amp on the market at the time, okay? So I bought that DC to DC charger from Renogy because it was a 60 amp and the Victrons were only 30 amp. And they were a lot more expensive for the 30 amp than what I paid for the 60 amp. So that 60 amp DC to DC charger cost me like 160 bucks, something like that. And, although it was installed for, a couple months or however long it was, I was on the road most of that time. And so it only really saw use for like, I don't know, 14 days worth of use before it failed. So I'm kicking myself in the ass for ever having purchased it. And now I'm concerned about the inverter charger that I spent quite a bit more money on. So far it's working. What's the longevity going to be? I don't know. So after that happened, I started doing some research, and I found that just recently Victron released a 50 amp DC to DC charger. So it kind of works in my advantage because of the fact that when I initially ordered all this stuff, they only made a 30 amp, and the 30 amp that they made was huge. It's huge. It's like this tall, and it's like this big. And but this new one that they've got is 50 amps, and it's like this big and this tall. And they've completely designed it from the ground up to be like 98% efficient. Most of these DC to DC chargers out there, pretty much all of them are only in the 80s, and so they run real hot. That Renogy one that I have was running really hot, and you could smell it while it was running. It had that kind of, like, if you've ever installed a car stereo and touched the wrong wire and you got that electrical smell, that is what that thing smelled like. So it initially it wasn't charging one day, and I checked and double checked and triple checked, and everything was good, and I slapped it and it started charging. And then for the rest of that day, every time I would start the van, I would have to smack it, and then it would start charging. And then the next day it just completely stopped charging no matter what I did. And so like I said, the unit ran hot the whole time, and I had regularly checked my wires, and none of my wires were hot. Everything that I did was oversized, so it wasn't anything that I did. Anyway, so I ordered the 50 amp Renogy. It's called the Orion XS. It's a brand new product. It's on back order. It should be delivered before I get back in, though. And we're going to go with that. It's only charges at 700 watts versus 800 watts, but it's a Victron product, so it's a product I can trust. Hopefully the other Renogy product that I have doesn't take a shit too, because that one was quite a bit more expensive. I think I paid almost $400 for that. But if it does fail and I have to replace it with a Victron product, man, that Multi Plus is really expensive. So what I may do if I have to replace it is just get an inverter, just so I don't have to spend like $1,100 or however much it is for that Multi Plus. But so so everything at this point, the solar charge controller, the DC to DC charger, are both Victron products. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to function flawlessly, and they have fantastic support, etc., etc. So I have no worry in those products. But, you know, it's just do the math. You know, it's kind of fuzzy math to try to make myself feel better, but I spent $160 on that DC to DC charger. It failed. If I would have instead gotten two of the the Victron 30 amps, it would have, number one, taken up a lot more space, and number two, it would have cost me like $450. So I spent $325-ish on the new one that I ordered. So, you know, what's that, $470? So, you know, I'm making out about the same amount of money. Now, look, I could go to Renogy's customer support and try to get a refund or try to do, you know, an exchange or whatever, but I don't trust the product, you know, so I don't want another one. And, you know, I'm at the point where all the reviews that I've looked at and stuff say that their customer support sucks. Say that you know, it's a good chance they won't even honor the warranty on it. It's what's probably going to happen, I'm going to tell you this, is that I'm probably going to pull that out, replace it with that Orion. Then I'm going to make a video smashing that motherfucker with a hammer and bashing Renogy products, because, guys, they're just garbage. They're overpriced garbage. And you know, I got a good deal on it. It was, you know, wasn't very expensive compared to the Victron product. But it only lasted a couple weeks worth of actual use. I mean, you know, they take cheap, shitty Chinese products and put their name on it, and then they don't really support them very well. Fingers crossed on that inverter charger. But that's the only other product I have from them. You know, I did cheap out ish on a couple other products on my refrigerator and my battery, but I did a lot of research and a lot of people like those products. So we'll see. You know, just stay away from Renogy. I mean, guys, their solar panels are overpriced. They're, you know, the stuff that they have is it's overpriced and not very good. And that, like, I thought about buying one of their charge controllers at one point and called their customer service, and the guy I talked to didn't know shit about the product. He's reading very obviously out of a handbook of some sort and was giving me incorrect information that I knew was incorrect. So just stay away from them. I know Victron stuff is expensive, but just spend the money. I mean, just spend the money on the Victron stuff. I mean, I wouldn't buy the Battleborn, expensive ass Battleborn batteries and stuff like that, but as far as the electrical components go, don't cheap out too badly. I mean, you're just going to bite yourself in the ass and end up having to spend the money anyway. So then I get back out on the road and my truck broke down. I've just been back on the road a couple of days now. I was down for 4 days in Minnesota, staying in a hotel. So just kind of everything fell apart. Astrologically, Mercury is retrograde, and so all this shit has happened to me during this time period, and I usually don't pay attention to that stuff, but you know, it is what it is. All kinds of stuff went wrong, and fingers crossed that I'm back on the road for good again, you know, and I plan to stay out 10 weeks, but I already, you know, got burned 1 week. So hopefully this doesn't set me back too badly on my savings. If you're just finding the channel, hit that subscribe button. You know, I'll tell you the good stuff and the bad stuff. There's just not a whole lot of content to make while I'm in this big truck, you know, and the goal obviously is to get into the van for an extended period of time, but first I got to save the money to keep me rolling. Once this van's out of the mechanic, the next time I go in, I'm going to really be hitting it hard to finish the build on the inside, to get that back unit built, wire up the 12 volt, get the new unit built and the countertop, and hopefully I can get all of that done the next time I'm in town. And then after that, once that's done, the only thing really that's left is the solar panels and the solar panels and painting, and then like the roof vent, a 6-inch, the round 6-inch max fan roof vent. I didn't get the big one because I need the space for solar panels, and this one will fit under the solar panels. And a bladder for the solar wires to come in. Yeah, with this, and then the solar and the painting if I'm going to paint it. I'm back and forth. The problem is, look, I have everything I need to paint it. The problem is finding a place to paint it. That's what I don't have. If anybody's got any suggestions about that, you know, you can give them to me. You know, my friends let me work on my van at their house, but I'm hesitant to paint there because I don't want overspray getting on any of their stuff. My parents live on the lake, and they have a big area in their backyard, but it's not easy to get back there. They've got some issues with their gate, and I would have to do some work to even get back there. But that's an option. Yeah, I mean, I would like to paint it because you guys have seen, if you've been watching, that it's got the typical Chevy paint flaking off all over the place. So I'd like to paint it, at least part of it. I've got a plan when I do it. And that's, you know, up in the air. If I decide to paint it, then I need to do that. Not this next time I'm in, but the time after. And that, not this next time again, but the time after. I'm going to be purchasing the solar panels and the stuff that I need to mount that stuff. I'll be deciding on whether or not I'm going to paint it. I will likely be installing the roof vent, the roof fan, and maybe even going ahead and doing the bladder before I do the solar. And then, then it's just odds and ends. So I mean, you know, I know I keep saying this, but I'm almost there. There's this DC to DC charger failing really has pissed me off and had me kind of feeling not defeated, but just agitated and angry at myself. Because I knew better. Stay away from Renogy. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.